let's play Cobblemon. And by let's, I mean me, because it's just me this time. Okay, cool. Creating a new world, just naming it Cobblemon. I spawn in a snow biome. I forget what this biome is exactly called, but I get the options between every starter of every gen so far. I look through it just to see if I want to choose anything than what I am already going to choose. This is also when I learned that the Hisui generation has different starters. It's not just a copy and paste of where they originally came from, but inevitably I have to choose my boy Mudkip. He's just so adorable. I love him. Fight me. And then I quickly look through my settings to figure out how to summon my Pokemon. But I look through its menu, check out its starting move list, and determine it was pretty good. It is a level 10 Mudkip, so I'd hope so. I then summon him down, and look at that adorable little guy. He's so cute. He looks like a fish, probably because he is a fish. I then, start playing Minecraft. There's not much to say here, I just play Minecraft. But I do look around, find a Wingull, a level 2 Wingull, and decide to fight it. This being the first battle I've ever done in Cobblemon, just to get used to its layout and familiarize myself with how this is going to work. Remembering my typing correctly, I decided to use Mud Slap on this Wingull and immediately obliterate it. Easy fight, let's go. Opening my menu, I decide to make some wood, and for some reason, all my inventory slots are blanked out, and I don't know what's causing that. I try a few things, and eventually it fixes itself. Looking around, I then find this blue ore and some berry bushes over there. I decide to go for the blue ore first, just to figure out what it is, so I make a wood pickaxe, stone pickaxe, and figure out that this is actually a water stone. Hopefully I can find an Eevee at some other point and make it into a Vaporeon, and because checking out these bushes, I found out these are oranberries, which they will be very helpful later on when my Pokemon are very low in HP. I continue exploring and fight some more Pokemon, get some more food, get some more experience from my beloved Mudkip, and make my way east. I find some fish in the river, and I decide to go get some food from them. But this is not my smartest time in Minecraft. I continue exploring, find some iron, fight a Cetodile. I've never heard of this Pokemon before. And eventually, once it faints, it drops a bone block. And enough experience to gain some new moves on my Mudkip, which I look at but find out they're not super good. I fight some more Pokemon, get some more XP for my Mudkip, and it is now up level 13. Insert yippee there. Yippee! Continued heading north and figured I should actually learn how to make Pokeballs so I can get more Pokemon, and learned that there's a lot of different kinds of Pokeballs in this mod. But learned the Pokeballs require red apricots. I don't know where to get those, so I hope I come across wherever that grows. It's an apricot, so I expect some plant. And almost immediately I find a pink apricot tree. Not the color I was looking for, but it's something. I fight this Bunnery and decide to mine down the tree in hopes of getting a sapling from this tree, and learning that it's a different wood type, so I'll build with that later. I mine down the trees around it, and it does not drop anything I can plant with, so yay! I then get into a fight with this Deerling that I found, and it is the first Pokemon to knock my Mudkip out, so I will be Pokemonless for the foreseeable future. On the bright side, I did find a black apricot tree, so I can start getting black apricots for, I assume, an Ultra Ball later. I also find these red berry bushes. I don't actually know what berries drop from them. None of them are ready to harvest, and I don't actually find any later in the same recording. Continue heading north. I find a green apricot tree and a black apricot tree. From the black apricot tree, I actually find the seed I need to plant that tree, being a black apricot sprout. Neat! I continue heading north, and eventually I find a red apricot. So once I get enough of those, I can actually start getting regular Pokemon. This is also where I decide to settle down for now. I clear some of the debris in the area just to make some room, plant some of my sugarcane, and start building my house using some of that apricot wood I got earlier. Once I was finished, I decided to finally unload all the things I'd been carrying, just so I have more inventory space, and cook some food. While that was cooking, I found a Fletchling outside of my window. I really wanted that Pokemon. I love Fletchling. Talonflame is so cool. So I start working towards a Pokeball. I gather the rest of the red apricot that I need, and decide to finally go into the mines and collect some copper. Doesn't take me too long to find some copper ore, just enough for several Pokeballs actually, so I'll need to go up and smelt them in just a second. After smelting some of my copper, I got the red apricot, the copper, and made a Pokeball on the crafting table. The crafting recipe yields 4 Pokeballs per craft, so with all the copper that I got, that'll last me for a long while. I go out searching for that Fletchling, use the built-in map in the mod, and find it very easily. Once I actually engage into a fight, it's relatively simple from there. Just one super effective move, and it's already down to easy catching range. So this is where I throw my first Pokeball. And I gotta say, I love the Pokeball models. I love that you have to physically throw them. It's so cool. But yeah, this Fletchling gave me no issues and got my next achievement. A first friend. And look at this little guy. I can't wait to make you a Talonflame. God, I love Fletchling. I searched how to make a PC, just so when I have a full team of Pokemon, I can just switch out whenever I need. And looking at it now, it's not a super expensive crafting recipe. I just didn't want to bother with it right now. I was looking at the other items the mod came with and found a Master Ball that you can actually craft. Safe to say, I'm not crafting this anytime soon, if ever. I go out and plant my black apricot sprout in hopes of getting more apricots so I can make an Ultra Ball at some point. That sentence feels redundant now that I say that. This is also the point where I decide to look at some add-ons for Cobblemon. The add-ons I eventually find are Cobblemon Capture XP, Cobblemon Cobblet, Fuller's Poke Centers, and Myth and Legends. You won't actually see any of the Myth and Legend Pokemon, because I don't come across any in this video. I do also add Traveler's Backpack at some point, back into the mines after making some stone pickaxes, find some iron, and find a different ore called a Moonstone. I also decided to catch a Baneri just because it was in my way and I didn't want to deal with it anymore. That fight also leveled up my Mudkip to level 16, which means it's ready to evolve into a Marshtomp. After it takes me way too long to figure out how to evolve it, I throw it out and evolve it in front of me. And look at that little guy. He's so derpy. Then back to the mines I go. I find an Ice Stone as well, which will be helpful for an Eevee at some point, instead of that slippery, wet Vaporeon. I also find a dungeon with not very good loot. Just some mediocre food, music disc, and some name tags, which I don't actually know if I take. Heading back up to the surface, I am just all over the place, aren't I? I fight a Starly, which almost KOs my whole team, so I decide to just run away from it so I don't have to deal with that. After sending my Baneri out as my last sacrifice. I then start gathering the materials I need to make a Traveler's Backpack. I also find this Emolga, which can do almost no damage to my Marshtomp since he's part ground type, and decide to capture it too. I go back home, dye some wool red since that's the easiest dye to gather, and make a red sleeping bag. This is also where I learned my Marshtomp has been gaining moves without me knowing, so I look through my move pool, switch out some of the moves I have, especially Supersonic, that was kinda useless, and I do the same thing for all of my other Pokemon. Now, free of distractions, I make a backpack tank, grab a chest, and I start crafting my Traveler's Backpack. Boom, easy. Now I just need to figure out how to actually use it. I've never actually used a Traveler's Backpack before, so I go into the settings, see if I need to change any of the keybinds, but no, I just need to click a button on the UI, and it's on my back now. I then found out I had enough to craft some Ultra Balls, so I do that just so I have a higher chance to catch some Pokemon later, set down my backpack, and release its sleeping bag so I can skip the night. I then found a Crabrawler outside of my house, decided to capture it because I like Crabrawler, he's a cool Pokemon. There had been some Magikarps under the water where I reside and decided to capture one because I want a Gyarados. Again, Gyarados is a cool Pokemon. I also found it funny that my Fletchling just sank while in the water. After throwing a Pokeball at it and swimming back up, I learned that the Pokeball, while underwater, emits a bunch of bubble particles, which I think is really cool for this mod. I also got the Full House achievement now that I have 6 Pokemon in my party. I'd been getting tired of having to wait for my Pokemon to revive on its own, so I looked up how to make a revive machine. And needless to say, I'm not going to make that anytime soon. I don't know where to get things to make a revive. I store a bunch of Cobblemon things in my backpack and finally use the Oran Berries, just to heal up my Marshtomp a little bit so that he can continue fighting and getting XP. I also start farming out XP for my Magikarp, and just in 2 battles, Magikarp gained enough XP to level up and let me evolve it. I threw Magikarp out just to see how big the Gyarados would be, and needless to say, Gyarados is kinda big, just about 4 blocks tall. I started doing the same thing with my Fletchling, so I can gain XP and hopefully evolve soon. I also caught a Cutiefly for some reason. I don't really know why. I didn't really want the Pokemon, but I figured, hey, I have Pokeballs now. I yearn for the mines. Look at that big fish underground. It's kind of funny. I also fought a Roggenrola and it dropped an Everstone. I don't know when I'd ever need an Everstone, but I have one now, I guess. I start gathering materials for another Traveler's Backpack, but I spotted a Starly outside, and I also really want a Starly. There's a lot of Pokemon that I just really like, and after 1 Pokeball, I had successfully captured that Starly, but it was in my PC, and I don't have access to one. I start condensing everything in my chest, just so I can carry as much as I can while I travel somewhere else to hopefully settle down in a better place than a snow biome. I continue traveling north, which eventually I do end up traveling east, which was a good thing, as you'll see. And after a fight with a Zigzagoon, my fletchling was ready to evolve into a Fletchender. I forgot to throw it out to see how much it changed, but I threw it out right afterwards, and beautiful. Mwah. While traveling, I decided to actually make the traveler's backpack I wanted to make earlier because my inventory was very full. I continue traveling east this time, and eventually, using my map, I find a village, which would be very handy for any food that they might provide me or any unique Pokemon nearby. Making my way to the village, I find some plants that I don't recognize. I don't have any bone meal to grow them or anything at the moment, so I just kind of let them be for now. One of the mods I installed earlier is also coming into play. It had a Poke Center so I could start healing my Pokemon and a PC where I can grab things out of, which I did. I immediately switched my Baneri with my Starly. I also caught a Slowpoke and found some more plants that I don't recognize. Right behind the plants I found an Arcanine, and Arcanine is also a cool Pokemon, so guess what I'm doing? I immediately started a battle with it, and it used Flamethrower on my Water-type Marshtomp. I don't know what it was thinking. Also, Thunderfang. Marshtomp is Ground-type. I don't know what it's thinking. I threw a Pokeball at it to capture it, but it broke out of that one. I then threw another Pokeball at it, a Ultra Ball this time, and it broke out of that one. I then threw another Ultra Ball at it, and finally, it got captured with this one. I then made some bone meal to grow these plants just to figure out what they are, and learned this one was a Rostberry. Probably not going to be using it, but who knows. I also caught a Mastiff because it was in my way, I guess, and grew some of the other plants. This is also where I learned that plants can mutate to produce different kinds of berries that will be hopefully helpful in the future. This one gave me an Aguave berry. After messing with my inventory a little more, I decided to continue east to hopefully find not an ice or snow biome. Almost immediately, I spotted another village, just like 500 blocks away. That's great. At that village, I did spot in my map that I can finally leave the snow biome. I'm so excited. Side note, I also found this just kind of regular dog-looking Pokemon, a Dashbun, and I've never seen this Pokemon. This just looks like a regular dog. Making my way out of the ice and snow biome, I opened my map to learn that there was a monument nearby. I am not doing that anytime soon. I also found a Lechonk, and let's just say that's some good free food. Rowing past that monument, I opened my map to learn that there was another monument nearby. I've never seen two this close before, at least in any of my worlds. I'd also found some ruined portals, which gave me some golden carrots and 2 golden apples, so I'm not going to complain about that. Opening the map to check the landmass around me, I learned that there was a third monument in the vicinity. Oh my god, I cannot make this up. Why? I then came across these leek-looking things, which turned out to be medical leeks, which hopefully in the future I can make some potions or some healing herbs to heal my Pokemon while in battle. Right next to where I found those leeks, I decided that, to settle down here. It was right next to the water. There's like 3 different biomes in the near vicinity, so I thought this was the perfect spot. I set my things down, started clearing some of the land and some of the trees in the area, and found a Munchlax. This Munchlax took way too many Pokeballs to capture, but eventually, after setting down most of my stuff, I decided to head back to where my first house was, just to grab whatever else I had left at that place. I had to cross the village to do that again, so I decided to steal their PC and healing machine, because those would be better at my place than here. I do eventually make it back to my house, gather everything I had left, and start heading back. On my way back, I found this weird egg-looking structure. Apparently these were added in the newest update, which had some fossil Pokemon in the suspicious gravel in the structure, which I did not know at the time, so I broke one and it hurts my soul watching this back. And after making it back with absolutely nothing interesting happening, I don't know what you're talking about, ignore the screen, I decided to make a little shack for what I had gathered, cut down some more trees, and plant some more apricot trees. And that's kind of it for now. Honestly, I had not played on this world since the recording that you're watching, which was done 4 months ago, so I've not continued anything further from here. I do hope to play on this world again, maybe with some friends in the future, just so I have more things to talk about. That's going to be the end of this journey, for now at least. Hopefully, I make some more content on this in the future. This was very fun. since there's a lot to do, especially with that Myths and Legends mod that I added on. I do think a lot of cool things can come out of this world. But for now, see ya. I don't know how to end off this recording.